Hey everybody, hope everybody's having a wonderful start to their week out there. Today is Monday, March 24th, and we're talking about multiple storm systems that will bring heavy rain, snow, and severe weather to the United States as we go through the rest of March and into early April. Let's look here at our anomalies as we go through the Monday, March 24th time frame. Notice we have a trough across the Great Lakes. That typically brings northwesterly flow aloft and some cooler temperatures down across this region, as well as some unsettled weather at times. Out west, we have a ridge in the orange, and that promotes warmer temperatures and more drier conditions as we go through the day. So let's look at here our temperature anomalies for today. And notice you can see the warmer temperatures are more to the west where the ridge is, and the cooler bluish green type of anomalies where the cooler temperatures are further to the east toward the Great Lakes. In fact, let's look at our temperatures out here for highs this afternoon on Monday, March 24th across the west. We're going to be seeing highs in the 80s over here into Southern California, even Central California foothill regions. We're seeing the low 90s there into portions of far Southern California and the desert regions and over here towards Phoenix. And those could be some record highs as well. Further to the north, we're into the 50s up there into Montana and Wyoming, portions of Idaho, central United States, cooler up to the north because we have that northwesterly flow aloft. So the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley regions will be cooler. So areas like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, we're going to stay into the 30s and 40s for highs mostly this afternoon. The warmer air will be further to the south, so we're going to be into the 70s in Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, much of Mississippi, Alabama, 80s perhaps in Louisiana, and much of Texas, even some low 90s in far southern Texas this afternoon. Further to the east, we have cooler air again across the Great Lakes in the northeast. Maine, much of the state of Maine there, could be into the 20s this afternoon for highs, 40s, maybe some 50s there across portions of Pennsylvania, back toward West Virginia, and then the 70s further to the south. And then as we go into Florida, central southern Florida, we're into the middle and upper 80s this afternoon, so wonderful weather in the Sunshine State. Now, we are talking about a little bit of a storm system across the eastern United States. This is bringing us some snow in blue, rain in green, and the pinks. That is a mixture of rain, snow, sleet, and freezing rain. And you can see as we go through the afternoon, we have some snow, heavy at times, across portions of Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, so we're going to be watching out for that. Otherwise, the rain and thunderstorm activity will be pulling off the coast as we go through this afternoon and evening. We do have some energy shooting down from the Pacific Northwest through the north central United States. This could bring us a rain shower, a rumble of thunder as we go through tonight and really through the day there on Tuesday. Otherwise, snow squall activity across the Great Lakes into the northeast, something we're going to monitor as we go and through the middle of this week, really through Wednesday, March 26th. Though as far as rainfall is concerned, could be a soaking rain up there for portions of the northeast from Maine southward to southern New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland, as we could be seeing upwards to a quarter, even half an inch of rain. And we zoom it in here and you can see areas like Boston, Cape Cod, Providence, back here to Hartford, New York City and Long Island, all the way down there toward Trenton, Dover, and Washington, D.C. Could be seeing that heavier rainfall as well. Also some heavier thunderstorms this morning down across the southeast. That has since moved off further to the east. As far as snowfall is concerned, not much to go around across the United States. We do have some snow, though, heavy at times that we talked about into Maine. Those areas could see some pretty decent snow accumulations, over 5 inches in some areas. Caribou, Maine, down toward Portland, Maine, over there toward Concord, New Hampshire, could be seeing some accumulating snow. Again, around 5 inches in a lot of these areas as we go through the middle of the week. Also, something to keep an eye on is the wind. It has been a very windy March so far, and it looks like that's going to continue, especially northward. Montana, Wyoming, into the western Dakotas, Nebraska, especially the panhandle of Nebraska, into Colorado there. There could be wind gusts upwards to 80 miles an hour in the very high elevations of the northern Rockies. And then over here to the Ohio Valley, areas like Indiana, Ohio, western Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Michigan. Those areas could be seeing wind gusts upwards to 40, 50 miles per hour with those wind advisories out there going through the middle of the week. Now, as we go to the middle of the week, we're going to continue to see this pattern on Wednesday, but after midweek, we're going to start to see this ridge out west bringing our warmer temperatures and drier air. That is going to slide east and actually bring warmer temperatures further east into the central and eastern U.S., and a trough will start to develop across the west, and this is going to bring a little bit of some trouble later later on in the week, but not before. Looking at our temperature anomalies, look at all the warmer air shifting off to the east there Thursday, Friday going into Saturday, Sunday, and then the following week, we start to see a cold front come through, and that could bring some severe weather. So let's look at that. Midweek, this is Wednesday, March 26th. Pretty quiet. We got the northwesterly flow here. You see the red lines. You see the blue lines. You can see with the blue, that's where the colder air is. The red lines, that's where the warmer air is. Notice a lot of activity over the top of that ridge across southern Canada, seeing more snow later on in the week. We got heavy rain from Texas, the Rio Grande, all the way up there toward North Texas late on the week. That could bring some flooding rains, and then a bigger storm system could develop. This could lead to a significant severe weather outbreak as we go into this upcoming weekend for Saturday, March 29th, and Sunday, March 30th, with a winter storm on the northern side. So let's take a look at that. The Storm Prediction Center is already confident 6 days ahead of time in producing a 15% or equivalent level 2 out of 5 slight risk of severe weather across western Illinois, the entire state of Missouri, eastern Kansas, east central Oklahoma, much of the state of Arkansas here. This area could expand or intensify. Right now, what we're looking at is instability will be growing across the Great Plains, especially from Texas up there toward Kansas Saturday afternoon, and this could promote maybe a cluster of some severe thunderstorms up toward the Missouri Valley where that moisture, instability, and wind shear overlaps. Then as we go into Sunday, March 30th, this is the largest day 7 risk for severe weather that the Storm Prediction Center has put out, a slight risk that is, extending all the way from southern lower Michigan, southern Lake Michigan, and Lake Erie, all the way down here, almost to New Orleans and Houston. This is a large area of severe weather. Major metropolitan hubs of Indianapolis, St. Louis, Paducah, Louisville, Cincinnati. We're talking Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville, all the way down here to Birmingham and Tuscaloosa, Atlanta. We're looking here at Shreveport, Little Rock. So a lot of areas in the risk zone as we go into Sunday. And again, a lot of instability. This is probably the strongest instability we've seen so far this year. Over 3,000 joules per kilogram, especially the further south you go in the Mississippi Valley. And notice again a widespread zone of some severe thunderstorms from the southern Great Lakes all the way to the Gulf Coast, lighting up the radar from Sunday afternoon into Sunday night. And with all modes of severe weather in play, damaging winds, large hail, and some tornadoes, we'll fine-tune that as we get closer. Now, this is also going to bring a snowstorm, possibly an ice storm on the northern side. You can see an overrunning setup here with some heavier snow in the blue, and the pink, that is some ice with some sleet and freezing rain. That'll shift across the interior sections of the Northeast as we go into Monday, March 31st, and you can see this could bring a narrow but potent swath of some snow. Right now, early indications show at least an accumulating snow possible somewhere across the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and into interior sections of the Northeast, with the heaviest snow right now favoring southern Ontario and southern Quebec. But as the energy enters in across the west, we could actually be seeing a lot of heavy snow for the Sierras as well. And an ice storm threat, something we have to monitor as we have warmer air this time of year, a higher sun angle that definitely could lead to a higher potential for some icing across portions of the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the interior sections of the Northeast. We're talking, when we say interior sections, we're saying Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and upstate New York. That's what we're talking about. Now let's look here at early April. This is your April temperature outlook, and it looks warmer across the south and the eastern part of the United States. Equal chances of above or below normal temperatures across the Pacific Northwest, and then downstream from there eastward into the northern high plains like the Dakotas and Nebraska, into the upper Midwest, and into the Great Lakes region as well. Precipitation looks very active across the Pacific Northwest, Seattle down to Portland there, and into northern Idaho, western portions of Montana, and then very active in the western Great Lakes and the upper Mississippi Valley region across places like Milwaukee, Chicago, Des Moines, St. Louis, Indianapolis, and Detroit. Those areas could trend wetter as we go through the 30-day period of April, and drier with the drought intensifying and expanding across the Four Corners region into Texas, along the Gulf Coast, and into Florida. Very dry here with a potentially flash drought starting to develop across portions of Florida through the month of April. And when we say flash drought, that means it's a quick developing drought as we go through that time frame. So thank you all for watching. That is the latest weather forecast that I have for you on this Monday, March 24th. If you did enjoy it, make sure to like the video down below, give it a thumbs up, and also share this video with friends, family, and on social media. Anybody that you know here on YouTube. And most importantly, subscribe to my channel for the latest accurate and reliable weather information. We're going to have another video forecast out for you tomorrow, so make sure to turn on post notifications so you are notified when that video is released tomorrow. And that's all the weather I got for you today. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful rest of your Monday out there.